we're seeing some reports, especially according to the information, that CEOs are quietly making a big bet. And the bet is the more AI we're using, the fewer jobs they're basically going to need to hire for. So the information came out with a report where they wrote, quote, executives at more than half a dozen companies said AI has affected their hiring plans, though most were careful to avoid saying AI was effectively replacing existing employees. So, for instance, they cite all these case studies where PayPal says AI now handles 80% of customer service tickets, cutting support staff dramatically. Cloud giants like Microsoft and Google are literally pitching AI as a full replacement for junior sales reps, IT staff, in some cases, even software engineers. And executives are starting to admit that if a role can be automated in these ways by AI, especially as they're fearful of kind of possible economic issues coming up through some of the policies we're seeing, through some of the headwinds we're experiencing. If a role can be automated by AI, they're starting to say it's either going to be frozen or outright eliminated. So, one leader at Ernst& Young at EY put it bluntly and said most of their clients now expect slower hiring or headcount cuts across their entire business. And we've also seen a couple related reports where others are starting to kind of, let's call it, say the quiet part out loud. In an exclusive report with Axios, Anthropic's chief information security officer said that the first fully AI employees are a year away. There's a new startup that's on our radar called Mechanize, which is backed by heavy hitters like Nat Friedman and Daniel Gross, Patrick Collison of Stripe, Dwarkesh Patel, Jeff Dean, and others. And their explicit mission is to develop, quote, virtual work environments, benchmarks, and training data that will enable the full automation of the economy. So, Paul, there's kind of all these threads coming together. And I think you summed up the central point here really well in a recent LinkedIn post where you said, quote, my belief is that quiet AI layoffs have been happening for the last 6 to 12 months, for instance, masked under a return to work policy, and they are accelerating. Companies have been replacing staff with AI or at minimum not hiring new staff due to AI, but they don't want to admit it because it's bad PR. Can you maybe walk me through what you see going on right now? Like, what do you expect to be happening in the near future with AI's impact on jobs?
Disruption and displacement of jobs, which is what we've been saying for the last 18 plus months on this show, is that this is coming. And I just don't think people were ready to hear it. Like, I don't think people wanted to admit it, or maybe they just didn't understand fully what these things were going to be capable of doing, and they were just in denial that it was
Hey,
going to be possible. But it's absolutely what's happening. It's what I've been hearing sort of behind the scenes now for 6 to 12 months. It's what we're now seeing people saying publicly. Um, it's not going to be evenly distributed across industries. So I think that some people may hear this and be like, yeah, I'm just not seeing it. And it's like, that's fine. Like, maybe in the legal industry, they're just slow moving, or banking, or financial services, whatever it may be. There's different reasons why different industries might not move as quickly, but it's absolutely what's going to happen. And, I think we had this return to work policy was the natural cover initially. So it started in the tech space. Like, it's like, okay, you got to be back in the office 4 days a week, 3 days a week. They know 20% of people are going to refuse to do that, and they're just going to leave the job. Great. We just cut 20% of our staff without having to say we were replacing them with AI basically over the next 2 years. And now the latest cover is going to be tariffs in the economy.
yep.
So, things aren't great in the economy right now. There's increasing chatter that we're heading towards a recession. And that's going to give the impetus to say, well, we got to cut costs anywhere we can. And if that means people, it's people. Now, again, they're not going to say we're doing this because we don't think we're actually going to need as many people, because we're going to use AI to do a lot of this work. That won't be the lead talking point, but it's probably going to be the underlying thing that's actually causing this. Is there's increasing confidence by C-suites and boards that they don't need as many people to do what they do. And I think they're probably right. This is the thing I've been saying all along, is like, we just don't need as many humans doing the current work. So, like, if
Mhm.
you take, if all things being equal, you say, like, we do these 100 things, or we create these 100 widgets every month. Moving forward, we have 50 people creating those 100 widgets. Maybe we can do it with 20 instead. So if the creation of the output, the product or service, remains flat, you just don't need as many people to do it. Now, if there's tremendous demand for what you do and you have a ton of growth and new markets and new products, then great. You may keep hiring people, but you don't need as many, and your revenue per employee number should, in theory, be skyrocketing over the next 2 years because you should be able to create more output, generate more revenue per employee. If you don't, you're doing something wrong. If you don't start to generate a higher revenue per employee number, you are mismanaging your company. And it's because you just don't need as many people. So this is why I've said, like, it's the best time ever to be a startup because you can just build more intelligently. You can build with fewer people, build with smarter processes. You don't even have to deal with the quiet layoffs. You
Mm.
just grow smarter. But if you're an existing company that has dozens, hundreds, thousands of employees, you got some really challenging times ahead to manage that headcount. Um, Now, the mechanized thing, Mike, that you
Yeah.
mentioned,
Yeah.
man, like,
That's wild.
talk about just coming out and saying it. Like,
Yeah.
so this is the kind of startup we have absolutely expected. I remember we talked a few episodes back, I don't know, maybe like 10 episodes back, could be longer. We talked about Y Combinator and how they were like investing in vertical agent companies.
Yep.
This is exactly what we were talking about, that people are going to build companies that automate workforces by industry. Now, mechanized just comes out straight and says, we're just going to automate the entire economy. Literally, it's just their mission. So even though we've known this was what people were going to build, it was what venture capitalists were going to invest in, it's jarring to actually see someone come out with the mission statement. So spend a moment on this. And I know we're not doing main topics, but man, we got to talk about this one. So Mechanize was launched on April 17th via a Twitter post by its founder, who's a researcher, Tamay Besorglu, who is Epic AI, I think he created it or he's lead researcher there, which is a research institute that investigates key trends and questions that shape the trajectory and governance of AI. So the startup goal, according to Besorglu, is the full automation of all work and the full automation of the economy. Now, in the tradition of recent AI major startups like Safe Superintelligence and Thinking Labs, their website is a single page of text. There's no images, nothing. It's just like text and some links. And in there, they kind of go over some of the information that they tweeted, which is today we are announcing Mechanized. And this is just direct quotes. A startup focused on developing virtual work environments, benchmarks, and training data that will enable the full automation of the economy. We will achieve this by creating simulated environments and evaluations that capture the full scope of what people do at their jobs. This includes using a computer, completing long horizon tasks that lack clear criteria for success, meaning there's no goal you can set. It's just like you got to figure out what the milestones are along the way, coordinating with others, and reprioritizing in the face of obstacles and interruptions. Um, Now, I'll pause for a second here before I continue. One of the things we've been talking about recently is the need for evaluations and benchmarks in AI to not be tied to IQ tests, but to actual jobs. This is exactly what they're doing. So they're using that to then inform the building of smarter AI models. Okay, continue. Mechanize will produce the data and evals necessary for comprehensively automating work. Our digital environments will act as practical simulations of real world work scenarios, enabling agents to learn useful abilities through reinforcement learning. Now, here's where it gets kind of crazy. The market potential here is absurdly large. Workers in the US are paid around 18 trillion per year in aggregate. For the entire world, the number is over 3 times greater, around 60 trillion per year. So this is their total addressable market is 60 trillion per year. The explosive economic growth likely result from completely automating labor could generate vast abundance, much higher standards of living, and new goods and services that we can't even imagine today. Our vision is to realize this potential as soon as possible. So they're directly saying the thing no one has been willing to directly say, which is
Mhm.
they plan to take all knowledge work and use AI to do it as quick as possible. Now, the part that was somewhat shocking to me was the investors. Now, you highlighted them, Mike, but like Nat Freeman is the GitHub CEO. So
Yep.
he's the GitHub is Microsoft, right? Microsoft bought GitHub, I
Yep.
think. And
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Tech investor Daniel Gross, Stripe co-founder and CEO Collison, you mentioned, Dwarkesh, who actually just did a podcast with these guys. So I'll come
Mhm.
back to that in a second. Jeff Dean, if you're not aware of that name, is Google's chief scientist. Jeff Dean is like one of the godfathers here of like modern AI, and then a couple of key investors. So the fact that these people, these guys, are all behind a company that is directly saying we plan to intelligently automate all knowledge work in the economy. And I haven't seen a comment from any of these guys. Like, I'm really curious to hear their positioning on this. But so if you want to go deeper on this, I know like I'm flying to Boston in 2 hours. So as soon as we get off this, I'm jumping on a plane to Boston. I know what I will be listening to, which is Darkesh's podcast with Tame and Ege Erdelu, who is, I think, his partner in this. But he just dropped the podcast the day this got announced. And then in a TechCrunch article, Tame referred to a research report that he and Ege published in 2023 called Explosive Growth from AI Automation, a Review of the Arguments.
Hmm.
So now I think this paper is actually the prelude to Mechanize. And so in that paper, he said, we examined whether substantial AI automation could accelerate global economic growth by about an order of magnitude, 10x, akin to the economic growth effects of the Industrial Revolution. We identify three primary drivers for such growth: the scalability of an AI labor force, restoring a regime of increasing returns to scale; two, the rapid expansion of an AI labor force; and three, a massive increase in output from rapid automation occurring over a brief period of time. We conclude that explosive growth seems plausible with AI capable of broadly substituting for human labor, but high confidence in this claim seems currently unwarranted. Key questions remain about the intensity of regulatory response, physical bottlenecks in the production of economic value of superhuman abilities, and the rate at which AI automation could occur. So the key takeaway here is Mechanize is not alone. They're just the first ones to come out publicly and say this is what they're doing. Andreessen Horowitz is probably funding 10 companies that are trying to do this exact same thing. Like, this is going to be pursued. I'm not saying it's achievable. I'm not saying like the total addressable market is reliable. I'm just telling you, venture capital is going to pour hundreds of billions of dollars. If you look at something with a tens of trillions of dollars of market potential, that means they're willing to put in hundreds of billions in the next 3 years to pursue this idea. So I, I know this wasn't supposed to be a main topic, but
I
how do you
love it.
talk about this without doing this? Um, there's so much uncertainty about what this all means, and I get all the anxiety. The thing I keep coming back to is like, if this is blowing your mind, file it away, know it's happening, and go back to your work and just do the next best thing to increase your own literacy and capabilities here. Like, it's not going to happen overnight. It is, I think I've said it's it's kind of like climbing up a hill, not falling off of a cliff at the moment. And so, like, you have a chance to sort of be out on the frontier here and like figure this stuff out as it's going. I get that it can cause anxiety, but like, I wouldn't let that overwhelm you. I would just like go do the next things.
I would also say the silver lining to me here as well is if they think this is possible, you know your own job better than very likely better than these people do.
Yeah.
So you can go start figuring this out for yourself, not necessarily automating everything away, but whatever productivity and performance gains they believe are possible, you probably are the best suited person to go figure that out in your own job.
Yeah, and I do think that there's quite a window here. Like, I don't see what they're trying to do as like a 2027
Yeah.
outcome. I think it's going to be by industry. But again, I think if you're in like AI research, financial analyst, lawyer, like there's just going to be some really obvious industries that this stuff's going to hit sooner than others. And I would not be ignorant to it. Like, I think that's the key, is like, you have to educate yourself on not only what these models are capable of, but what they're capable of in your industry. Because things like we started this with, people are going to stop accepting your proposals because they know they can do the work cheaper.
Hmm.
People are going to stop hiring you as a professional because they just don't need as many of you in their company anymore. So you're going to start to see earlier signs here, sort of like canary in the coal mine kind of stuff. Like, it's coming, but what they're envisioning isn't probably like a near term, like 3 to 5 year reality. Now, anything beyond that, as I've said on the Road to AGI podcast, like I can't help you. Like, I don't know. Beyond like 3 years, it's really hard to project the reality here.